Hello and welcome to another class. Today's sequence is all about balance and core strength. Let's just go ahead and get started. In Balasana Child's Pose, if that's available to you, knees together if possible. If not, just simply step those knees apart a little bit until it feels comfortable, big toes together, and placing the forehead either on a block or the floor. Arms can be in front or along your sides. And just take a few moments to get settled in. On every exhale, see if you can sink and melt the hips down towards the feet a little bit more. Starting to feel as comfortable as possible in this pose. Letting go of anything you're holding on to that you don't need right now. Any cares or worries. Just letting it all float away. Knowing that you're here on time, the right place, and this hour is just for you. And taking the next few moments to set an intention for your practice today. An intention being a quality or a virtue that you wish to cultivate on or off the mat. There's so many benefits to yoga, just picking one of them. Maybe it's inner strength or inner peace, or maybe it's general strength. Whatever it is that you're looking for in your yoga practice, letting that resonate for a few moments. From here, take 3 slow, deep breaths through the nose. Nice, expansive breaths. So at the top of each inhale, see if you can take an extra sip of air, feeling a gentle stretch in the lungs. And at the bottom of every exhale, squeezing out that last puff of air, making room for fresh new air to enter. And when all 3 deep breaths are complete, take your time. But when they are, start to make your way all the way up and back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So toes tuck under, hips go up and back to a big V. And that first one, it's nice to walk it out sometimes. Or perhaps you'd like to shift the hips from side to side to feel a nice stretch. And then send the feet forward all the way to the top of your mat, landing in a forward fold, allowing the neck to soften and relax. And slowly, one vertebra at a time, ragdoll all the way up to standing. And we'll prepare for some sun salutations. So once again, I'm coming up to the top of your mat, heels and toes together, arms active along the sides of your body, fingertips reaching towards the floor, crown of the head reaching towards the sky. On an inhale, raise the arms, way up high, getting taller. On an exhale, gliding forward, nice and smooth. Inhale, looking up to the horizon for flat back. And exhale, down. Step the right foot back, way back, and gently lower the back knee, untucking the toes. And sweep the arms up for Vinyasa, low lunge pose. We're not here too long. Send the hands back down. Tuck the back toes under, front foot steps back to a strong plank. Preparing for Ashtanga Pranam, 8-limb salutation. Keep the hips high to the sky and then sequentially lower knees, chest, chin, arching through the back. Scoop through to the belly. Peel the chest off the floor in a little baby cobra, Bhujangasana. So you could, no hands. Toes are pointed, glutes are engaged, and the shoulder blades are squeezing together and down the back. And release, pressing up and back, once again to downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward, gently lowering the back knee down, untucking the toes, sweep those arms up for Vinyasa, low lunge pose on that other side. Hips are shifting downward towards the floor, feeling that nice stretch. And float the hands down through lunge. Back foot steps forward this time, all the way to meet that other foot, the front foot, into flat back, long through the neck. And exhale, forward fold. On an inhale, come on all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale, returning to a tall mountain. And we'll head into that second side. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, gliding forward. Inhale for flat back. Exhale, down. Left foot this time steps back, gently lowering the knee, untucking those toes, sweep the arms up. Heading down through lunge, stepping it back through plank, and lowering knees, chest, chin. Arching through the back. Inhale, as you scoop through to the belly, peel the chest off the floor for a little cobra, and release. Once again, pressing up and back to downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward, back knee lowers down, untucking those toes, arms sweep, lowering through the hips, heading down through lunge. And to complete the salutation, we'll step that back foot all the way forward into flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale to a tall mountain. Heading into A. Sun salutation A. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. Exhale down, heading back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhaling for cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Or child's pose. Slowing down the breathing, shoulders away from the ears. Finding some weight forward into the palms. And finally allowing those heels to lower down towards the floor. And send the feet forward into flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale to a tall mountain. Again, inhale, arms go up. Exhale, gliding forward. Inhale for flat back. Exhale down, back through plank, lowering chaturanga. Inhale, shoulders down. And exhale, downward facing dog. Shoulders away from the ears once again. Breathing through the nose. And send the feet forward all the way to the top. Inhaling for flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale to a tall mountain. Last one of A. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. Exhale, down, heading back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale, wide open across the shoulders. And exhale, downward facing dog. For 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Send the feet forward all the way to the top. Inhaling for flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale to a tall mountain. Heading into sun salutation B. So feet are together, heels and toes. Bend the knees, sweeping the arms for Utkatasana, powerful pose. Exhale, gliding forward, nice and smooth. Inhale for flat back. Exhale down, heading back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale, up, and exhale, downward facing dog. Preparing for Virabhadrasana, one warrior one. We'll step the right foot forward behind the right wrist, back heel spins down, floating all the way up. So we're still flowing in our sun salutations. And flowing back down through lunge, plank, and lower. Inhale, up, and exhale, downward facing dog. Other side, left foot steps forward, back heel spins down. We float all the way up, heading down through lunge, through plank, and lower. Inhale, wide open shoulders. And exhale, downward dog or child's pose. For 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Send the feet forward, inhaling for flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Heels and toes together, bend the knees, sweeping the arms for Utkatasana, powerful pose. And exhale, standing tall. Preparing now for Vrikshasana, tree pose. Rooting through the left foot, pick up the right foot and place the foot on the inner leg of the supporting leg, either below the knee or above the knee. There is this like perfect notch right on the knee joint, but we need to avoid that to protect the knee. So if you want to go for that extra challenge, then pick up the whole foot, placing it against the inner leg. From here, in order to keep it there, press the foot into the leg, and then the leg presses right back into the foot. Belly scoops in, and we'll bring the hands to heart center. Finding a focal point, something to look at, will help the balance. Maybe there's a spot on the wall or something that you can look at to help keep that balance. Standing up nice and tall, if you've got that balance, eventually we raise the arms up. Moving nice and slow. Anytime you're in a balanced posture, move really slow. If you just go from here to here, you're more apt to lose your balance. So moving nice and slow, 1 millimeter at a time. And even take notice of that supporting leg, the ankle moving a little bit, the core moving a little bit to shift you back into balance. Holding here, breathing deep. The right knee's pointing right out to the side as the belly scoops in, lengthening through the spine. That's already about 4 deep breaths. And 5 to come out. We'll inhale to lengthen even more. And on the exhale, return the hands through heart center and lower the foot, returning to Tadasana Mountain Pose, shaking or rolling it out. Preparing for the other side, same thing exactly. We'll root through the right foot. And all that means is just pressing down into the floor with the right foot as though you're a tree that has roots. Turning that left knee out to the side, pick up the foot and place it against the inner right leg, either below the knee or picking it up and placing it on the upper leg. Same thing again. In order to keep that foot there, press it firmly into the leg, and the leg can press back against the foot. So you've got a bit of dual energy happening, just like you would in the hands. You can bring the hands to heart center and gently press the palms together. Belly scoops in, knee points out to the side, and crown of the head reaches for the sky. If you've got your balance here, then start slowly, slowly to raise the arms up. Breathing deep for 2, 3, 4, and 5. After your 5th deep breath, inhale once again to lengthen. Belly scoops in and return all the way to Tadasana Mountain Pose. Since we're doing a Vinyasa today, if you don't need any extra warmth, feel free to just stay here. Or for that extra challenge, inhale, arms go up. Exhale, gliding forward. Inhale for flat back. Exhale, down, heading back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale, up, and exhale, downward facing dog. Then we'll send the feet all the way forward to the top of the mat once again, inhaling for a flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale, returning to a tall mountain. Preparing now for Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, which is a lot of syllables for hand to big toe pose. So we will do the same thing as we did with our tree pose. It's a very similar pose as far as the whole body is concerned, except for the first leg, the right leg. We will root through that left foot. Let's bring the hands to the hips for this one. Then pick up the right leg and hold on to the knee. If this is enough for you, just stay here. This is totally acceptable. If you'd like to go further, then while maintaining that height in the torso, lifting through the chest, the knee stays up. Peace fingers find your big toe. It's nice at this point to have a focal point to look at. Now it's more important to keep the supporting leg straight than it is to do anything else from this point. If you want to go further, feel free to extend that right leg. Bottom leg is straight, 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 holding onto it, Try to use the strength of the right leg to keep itself up. To come out, inhale to lengthen. On the exhale, we bend and return to Tadasana mountain pose. Ready and excited for the left side. Exact same thing, other side. Rooting through the right foot this time, hands to the hips. We pick up the left knee. Either hold the knee with the left hand, or if you'd like to go further, peace fingers, so index and middle fingers, find the big toe, but try not to hunch forward too much. Lifting up through the heart. Supporting leg is straight, straight, straight. And maybe we don't go further. Maybe we extend. Either way, lifting up through the heart, crown of the head reaches for the sky, rooting through that right foot. Breathing deep. That's already 3, 4, and 5. One more inhale to lengthen. On the exhale, bend the knee and return to Tadasana mountain pose. Since we're Vinyasa-ing, we'll inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. Exhale, down, stepping back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale, up. And exhale, downward facing dog. Shoulders away from the ears. We're not here too long. Then once again, we'll send the feet forward all the way to the top. Inhaling for flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale to a tall mountain. This one is very similar to the last one, but it's revolved. So it's Parivrita Hasta Padangusthasana. So revolved, hand to big toe pose, except for it's hand to big foot, or big foot. It's hand to big foot pose, hand to foot pose. I'm going to stop talking now. I'm just going to show you what we're doing. Standing up nice and tall. We'll root through the left foot, hands to the hips, picking up the right knee. So from here, because it's revolved, we would use the opposite hand. So exactly the same as the last time, but opposite hand. Now from here, I really want to straighten through that supporting leg. Ideally, it doesn't bend ever. From here, if I want to go further, instead of the peace fingers to the big toe, I'm finding the outside of the foot. Lifting up nice and tall, I can stay here, or I can start to extend that top leg. If it becomes all the way straight, great. If not, that's fine too. Holding on. Then for that extra challenge, the hand that was to the hip, move straight back behind you. Extra challenge, you can even look to those back fingertips. To come out, we inhale to lengthen. On the exhale, we bend that top knee and return all the way to Tadasana mountain pose. Ready for the left side. So same thing again, we'll root through the supporting leg, which is the right foot. Pick up the left, hands are to the hips. Opposite hand to knee, and we could possibly stop there. Try to do the same variation as you did on the first side though. If you'd like to go further, the hand goes to the outside of the foot, keeping that supporting leg straight. It wants to bend. I know it does. Try to keep it straight, straight, straight. Lifting up nice and tall. Maybe we extend. Breathing deep. Maybe we open up the back arm for 3. Maybe even looking beyond those fingertips for 4. And hold on to it for 5. Inhale to lengthen. On the exhale, bend that top knee, returning to Tadasana mountain pose. One quick little tip. When you're looking back at that back arm, you'll notice I wobbled a bit when I turned to look at you. So that can happen. When you go from finding your focal point forward to finding your fingers behind you, that's when we tend to lose our balance. So moving super, super, super slow, finding little focal points along the way can be helpful. Otherwise, it's okay to fall. This is the beautiful thing about yoga. It doesn't matter. Get back up again. From mountain pose, we flow. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. Exhale, down, heading back through plank and lower chaturanga. Inhale, up, and exhale, downward facing dog. Just a couple deep breaths here to get the shoulders nice and warm. And then send the feet forward all the way to the top. Inhaling for flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale to a tall mountain. From here, preparing for Prasarita Padottanasana C, which is wide-legged forward bend pose. Whew, English is challenging for me today. So we'll step the feet apart sideways on the mat. Which is funny, the Sanskrit seems to be working. So I wonder how my Pig Latin's doing today. Anyway, stepping the feet apart, one leg's length apart, not like how long you wish your legs were. No. One leg length apart. And we want the feet parallel. So if anything, even just pointing inward just a smidgen, it'll feel really pigeon-toed and awkward. And that's what we're looking for. So same thing again with the legs being super straight. Then interlace the fingers like this, but behind your back. Inhale to lengthen. On the exhale, forward fold and allow the arms to move away from the back, up and overhead as much as available. The crown of the head is reaching for the floor, but think of allowing gravity to assist rather than pushing anything. Let the torso feel heavy. And the arms, if they're a ways away from the back, let gravity help. So come out, scoop the belly in, and inhale with a long, straight spine all the way up. Release the arms. If you feel lightheaded, one palm to the forehead for a moment. I often do. It tends to happen if you have lower blood pressure. It's not a problem. It just takes sometimes a moment to equalize a bit. All good. And then we'll head back to the top of our mat and we'll flow. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. Exhale, down, heading back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale, up, and exhale, downward facing dog. So again, we're not here too long, just warming up the shoulders a little bit. Couple deep breaths, shoulders away from the ears. Allow those heels to melt down towards the floor. And send the feet forward all the way to the top. Inhaling for flat back. And exhale, forward fold. On the inhale, come on all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale to a tall mountain. Preparing now for Garudasana prep pose. So eagle pose prep. Not the full eagle pose, but it's a bit of a different stretch than eagle. What we do is take a little bit of a bend to the knees and we'll cross the right ankle over the left knee. So the thing we want to think about here, I'll just sort of face you. With your supporting knee, there is a tendency for it to move inward. Don't let it. So make sure that the knee tracks right over the foot. The way I like to ensure that is by pressing into the pinky toe side of the foot. If I let the weight move to the big toe side of the foot, then my knee is in danger of not tracking forward. And we want the knee to always be in a healthy alignment position. So, rooting through that left foot, bending through the knee with that weight into the pinky toe side of the foot, crossing it over. From here, if you fall, that's no problem, but release the foot. I actually like to do that, even though I am really experienced. Doesn't matter how experienced you are. It's nice to just sort of like, right, if I fall, I'm going to release the foot, release the foot. Okay, just for practice, because if you fall straight down and you're not quite ready for that, that wouldn't feel so super. And see, I'm opening cupboards. Here we go. Rooting through that left foot, cross the right ankle over. Then from here, bring the hands to heart center and long straight spine. So we don't want to hunch over in this. We're targeting the right hip for a stretch, or the glutes. Somewhere in there, we'll feel that stretch. So maybe you can go a long ways down towards the floor. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. Wherever you get stuck, just hold. If you are quite flexible, eventually the hands will reach the floor and we hold. So this is working on balance on that supporting leg as well. So don't just dump into the hands if you are flexible. That's what flexible people do. We cheat. Try not to let that happen. Yes, get that stretch in the right leg or in the hip, but don't ignore the balance and the strength part of that supporting leg. To come out, we're reversing course all the way up and returning to Tadasana Mountain Pose, maybe shaking it out a little bit. And preparing for the second side. So same thing again, rooting through that right foot this time. We cross the left ankle over. It doesn't hurt to do a couple little right, if I fall, I'm going to fall forward, release the foot. Yeah, got it. Then rooting through, cross the ankle over, bring the hands to heart center. Then just keep going while we press into that supporting pinky toe. Keep going until you feel a stretch, and then wherever you feel a stretch, just hold, hold, hold. Breathing deep, feeling that stretch, and the strength of the supporting leg as well. And to come out, we reverse course by pressing into that right leg. Come on all the way up, returning to Tadasana Mountain Pose. We flow as this is a Vinyasa style class. Feet together, big toes together. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. Exhale down, heading back through plank, strong plank, and lowering chaturanga. Inhale, up, and exhale, downward facing dog. Couple deep breaths here, shoulders away from the ears, moving that weight into the fronts of the palms, to the tops of the palms. And send the feet forward. Inhaling for flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale to a tall mountain. This time preparing for Garudasana, eagle pose, so the full eagle pose. Now for this one, it's very similar, but instead of an externally rotated position, this one's an internally rotated position. So we need to even more so be cautious of that supporting knee. There is a tendency to allow it to tip kind of inward. We want it to tip inward, but from the top of the leg bone, not just from the knee. Does that make sense? Like we can have the whole leg parallel, but the knee just tips inward. And what that's doing is creating instability in the knee joint. So what we want to do is keep the supporting leg completely parallel. The internal rotation happens with the raised leg, okay? So this supporting leg stays completely parallel. I'm actually going to face full on I'm going to face you for this one. So let's raise the right leg. So it'll probably look like my left leg to you. Bending through both legs. Now, crossing the top leg over the bottom, there's a tendency my knee wants to tip inward. Nope, don't let it. Press into the pinky toe. And then it's the top. See how the top leg has to internally rotate, but my bottom leg is still totally parallel. Okay, and I'm trying to draw back that right hip so it's in line with the other hip. And there's a lot of, so I'm feeling a big stretch right in here because I'm internally rotating that top leg. Adding the arms, without holding onto a wall. This is not the pose. This is just me striking a pose, trying to find balance. Arms forward. Right arm goes below left. And then ravel them around until you find the palms together. Okay? Pressing into that left pinky toe, drawing the right hip back. The elbows are level with the shoulders, and the fingers are pointing straight up, as are the wrists. Breathing deep. To come out, we simply unravel, unwind, and return to Tadasana Mountain Pose. All of that on the left. So once again, the most important thing to think about is that supporting leg, keeping it completely parallel. Pressing into that pinky toe should help. Then we lift up the left leg and internally rotate it. If you can't get the toes behind, that's okay. Drawing that left hip back, back, back. So yeah, my supporting leg is trying really hard to compensate, and you just say, no, you can talk to your limbs. It's fine. It's fine. And then as long as they don't talk back to you. So the top leg is internally rotating like crazy, feeling that nice stretch in the hips. Arms forward, left arm underneath right. Palms together, scooping the belly in, holding onto that balance, pressing into that supporting pinky toe. Keep the knee tracking forward. Don't let it tip in. Then, to come out, we unravel, we unwind, and return to Tadasana Mountain Pose. That one's a lot more complicated than it looks. And it kind of looks all twisted up and complicated. So wherever you're at with that one, just keep trying, keep going with it. Don't let it make you frustrated. She says more to herself than to anyone else. Standing up nice and tall. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. Exhale down, heading back through plank. And lowering chaturanga. Inhale up. And exhale, downward facing dog. From here, let's glide forward to plank and lower chaturanga and all the way down to your bellies. The next pose is Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. So for this one, if you do up dog in your flow all the time anyways, then this isn't such a big deal for you. But it's nice to just break it down and do it as one standalone pose and hold it for a while. It kind of changes things a little bit. So first of all, if you're not quite there yet, just do Cobra. Okay, so no pressure to do up dog today. The only difference between up dog and Cobra, I wore the wrong color pants. You probably can't see my pants. My bad. We'll give it a go anyways. So if you can see, my knees are off the floor in my Cobra right now. I've got my hips and my feet on the floor because my legs are straight. So my knees will actually pop up off the floor. Now, the only difference between Cobra and up dog is I'm going to take everything off of the floor except for my hands and my feet. So Cobra, up dog. So up dog, my hips are off the floor, my shoulders are back, and my legs are straight, straight, straight. So this is challenging for the arms. Also, we don't want to dump in the back. So I could kind of like, what's that word called? Like jackknife at the low back, but I don't want to. I want to pull the belly in. So it's not a very big back bend. And I'm opening up through the shoulders, breathing deep. I'm trying to actually work my whole back body by lifting my sternum. I don't know if you can see that, but lifting through the sternum. To come out, belly scoops in even more and release all the way down. We'll head up and back to either child's pose or downward facing dog. If that was a big stretch for you, please find a child's pose. Your body will thank you. And if you're like, no, I need a warmer upper, then head back to downward facing dog and lengthen through the spine. Just a few deep breaths. From here, let's do a little vinyasa. So we'll send the feet all the way forward. Inhaling for flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale to a tall mountain. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. Exhale down, heading back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale up. And exhale, downward facing dog. From here, we'll prepare for Vashisthasana side plank. So for this one, I have to face away from you first of all to do the right side. So we'll glide forward to like a high plank. Okay, so this is like this. So not, put the hips in line, but hike the hips up a little bit. Then we stack right foot on top of left. Bring the top arm along the side body. From here, all we do is raise the top arm up to the sky, breathing deep. So for this one, the hips are a little bit higher. The body's not in line. It's the same angle as that high plank, okay? Breathing deep. One more inhale to lengthen. On the exhale, bring the hand back down alongside the body and return to plank. Other side. So high plank, so that my whole body is in line with the floor, parallel to the floor. Then stacking left foot on top of right, hips are high to the sky. Left arm alongside the body, and then float the arm up. So my body is parallel with the floor. Hips are a little bit high. Breathing deep. One more inhale to lengthen. Bring the hand back alongside the body. Belly scoops in. And find plank. Lowering chaturanga. You can lower your knees down first if you want to after all of that. Inhaling for cobra or up dog. And exhale. Downward dog or child's pose. You might want a child's pose just to relax the shoulders after that one. Slowing down the breathing. From here, lowering all the way to seated, and I just want to talk about the last pose for a second, Vashisthasana. So what we just did was actually a modification as well. And if you're like, that's insane, that was crazy, just know that you're right, and it is, and it's fine. You can do a variation where you lower one knee down to the floor in Vashisthasana as well, just so you know for next time. So that would look like, kind of like this instead, just until we get enough strength to basically place all of the weight onto one arm, okay? So if you're like, why is that so hard for me? Because you're trying to balance all of your everything on one wrist. That's why. So if it worked out well, that means you're getting great strength in your wrists. So keep going. Either way, we're building bone density, right? This is so healthy for us. You might feel a little bit of ache in the wrists today. Remember, a dull ache in the joints is fine. Sharp pain in a joint, never okay. Okay, now we can move on. Next one up is Dvichakra Vahanasana, and that is just fancy words for our yogi sit-ups. So we won't do as many as I often do in classes, just enough to get the belly warmed up a little bit. So we'll lay all the way back. Know that there's modifications. So if this is too much for your core, stay with the whole back onto the floor, okay? You can do the legs part, but just keep the body like this. If you're ready to go further, belly scoops in, we lift the head off the floor and scoop the belly in, fingertips behind the head. We'll extend the right leg, hovering above earth, right elbow towards left knee. It doesn't have to touch. Then we inhale back to center, and we exhale, extend the left leg, left elbow to right knee. Inhale back to center, and we just keep going, alternating. Inhaling back to center, exhale, extend. Inhale to the center. Exhale, extend. Keep going, not very long. Really scooping the belly in. Last time. And release. Just let the belly relax for a second. Like I say, I usually make you do a lot more than that in class. However, we're doing a lot more poses today than usual as well. So for this to continue in a vinyasa style, let's do one of my favorite things. We'll rock and roll. So come on all the way up to seated almost and back down again. Just a few of these. It's nice to kind of shake up the energy a little bit. And then on your next one, come on all the way up and head back to plank. Belly scooping in, and we'll vinyasa. Lowering chaturanga. Inhaling up. And exhale. Downward facing dog. From here, lowering all the way to seated with the feet forward in Dandasana staff pose. And we'll prepare for a Paripurna Navasana. That means full boat pose. So this is not one of my favorites, but it kind of is. I'm starting to like it because it's just so good for us. So for this one, there's basically wherever you get stuck, just hold. You do not have to do the full boat, if that makes sense. So I like to start with the hands behind the femurs, lifting up tall. It's more important to keep lifting up through the heart than it is to get the feet off the floor. If you want to get the feet off the floor, that's great. Think about the knees moving towards the shoulders, lifting the heart towards the sky ahead of you. If you feel comfortable here, we're pulling the pelvic floor up and we're scooping the belly in as well. And then arms are parallel to the earth. If this is as far as you'd like to go, by all means stay here. If you want to lift the legs a little bit further, go ahead. If you can lift them all the way, that's good too. Breathing deep for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we'll release. Back through plank. Lowering chaturanga. Inhale up. And exhale. Downward facing dog. Boat pose. One day, boat pose. One day we'll be friends. Let's head into Bakasana crane pose. This one starts in a squat. You know things are going to be good if you start in a squat. So from here, placing the hands just slightly wider than shoulders width apart, I find is the best. It just sets you up for the most amount of success possible, which is what you're looking for in a pose like crane pose. This is an arm balance. This is our first real full arm balance. Now, lift the hips as high to the sky as possible and then situate the knees so they're up as high as possible on the arms. Now that'll be right in the armpits if available. If not, it might be closer to the elbows. That's fine too. From there, all we do is shift the weight a little bit forward, a little bit forward, a little bit forward, a little bit forward. Eventually the arms are completely straight. And if you need to bend them, that's fine too. Maybe the feet will float up off the floor and maybe they won't. Breathing deep. We're not there long. That's it. Crane pose. Crane pose is our friend. If you want just a little rest, you just go ahead and go right into child's pose from here. Nice. But if you don't, let's head back to plank. Okay, either way. We're almost on this whole class. Belly scoops in as you lower chaturanga. Inhaling up and exhale. Downward facing dog. From here, we'll lower once again to Dandasana staff pose. So all the way to seated, feet move forward. And we'll prepare for Ardha Matsyendrasana, half floor to the fishes pose. This one is my friend. I love this one a lot. This one we are working on both internal rotation of the hips and external rotation all in one pose, which is why I love it so much. So if you're not very flexible in the hips, you may wish to have a block with you. So what we do here, bend the knees. Bring the left foot underneath the right and place it near the opposite hip, pointing the toes. You can't see my toes, but they're pointing nicely beside my right hip. Both sit bones are firmly grounded. Now, what I want to do before I even move my top leg is be sure that my bottom knee is pointing straight forward. So it's not up here, it's directly forward. So this is where you start to feel that stretch in here. Then this foot simply moves on top. This actually requires a lot more hip flexibility than it looks like. If you're like, nope, I can't get the bottom leg in, but I can do the top, you could do this, but you're missing half of the pose. It's better to sit up on blankets or pillows or cushions or blocks or something block shaped so that you can bend this bottom leg in, because if you don't, you're missing half the pose. So it's better to sit up, elevate the hips. When the hips are higher than the feet, it requires less hip mobility. As long as you're feeling a stretch in the hips, you're doing it correctly and you're getting the full benefit. So now we're up on a block maybe, and we've got the right knee right over top of the left. So that's the second thing we want to double check, is that both our knees are in line with the central axis of the body. So I've got my bottom knee in line basically with my pelvis, and then like the pubic bone, and then my top knee is in line with my sternum, or maybe your vocal cords if you're long-legged. But for me, it's more like my sternum. Lifting up nice and tall, and then we twist. So right hand moves behind you, left arm crosses over, and there's a tendency to hunch like this. And see how this can overstretch this side of the back here? So what I'm trying to do is almost cobra, and then open up, looking over the right shoulder. Breathing deep for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. On the inhale, lengthen even more. On the exhale, unraveling, unwinding, returning to Dandasana staff pose. Preparing for the other side, so we bend both knees. The right leg goes through. Double check the knees pointing directly forward. Toes are pointed beside you. And this time left crosses over. So I'm already feeling a big stretch in my right side. Lifting up nice and tall. So central axis of the body, lifting. And then rooting through both sit bones. So both sit bones are firmly planted onto the floor or your block. Inhale to lengthen, almost like you're cobraing. And then right arm crosses over so that we don't overstretch. So almost feel like you're arching back to keep the spine completely neutral. And breathing deep for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. One more inhale to lengthen. On the exhale, belly scoops in and we unravel and wind all the way back to Dandasana staff pose. Either just wait here for the next one, or if you need a little bit of a warmer upper, heading back through plank, lowering chaturanga. Inhale, up, and exhale, downward facing dog. Once again, lowering all the way to seated, bring the feet forward in Dandasana staff pose, and we'll prepare for Marichyasana A, Sage Marichi's pose A. For this one, we bend the right knee, moving it in as close to the hip as possible. Lifting up tall, we can place the left fingertips on the floor. Right arm goes up and or forward, reaching, reaching, reaching. Then the thumb turns down, we wrap around the leg and try to find the hands behind you. Or you can use a strap to clasp behind you if you want to. Now this one, even though I'm twisting, this one is actually a forward bend. So once I have the hands on my strap, inhale to lengthen here, exhale reaching forward, forward, forward. And to come out, releasing, and all the way back to Dandasana staff pose. So eventually the head reaches the leg. Clearly and obviously we don't have to do that all in one day. And we'll head into the other side. Bending the left knee in. You'll be able to see, I'll go a tiny bit slower the second side because just the way the camera's facing, you'll be able to see more. So leaning over onto the right hand, left arm reaches up. My hip, and again, the coloring of my pants is unfortunate today, my hip is off the floor. To get into the pose, we want the pose to be with the hip on the floor, but it's a little awkward to get into it without lifting it, so it's safe to do so. I'm going to lift my left hip up as I reach forward. So I'm trying to think of a delineation, almost like right in my hip crease. I think of like Barbie legs, right? Not necessarily Barbie proportions, but you know how there's like that delineation? The torso doesn't move, but the legs can move right at that crease. So I'm thinking of that too. I'm not trying to move my whole everything forward. My knee is going back, my torso is going forward. So I'm not hunching, but I'm lengthening because my torso just stays like this and it's just like a Barbie. Goes forward, forward, forward. And then thumb turns down, wrapping around. And the more forward I can get, the more I can wrap this arm around. If I can't go forward, then it isn't going to work. And then I'm here. And that's okay too. If you're here, that's fine. What it is hip mobility and or hamstrings mobility. Once you're there, if you can find the arms or a strap, inhale to lengthen and exhale, forward fold. Reaching forward, forward, forward. And now I'm reaching that left hip down to the ground. Reaching forward, forward, forward. And come on all the way up. Release. Returning to Dandasana staff pose. And then, same thing again, either just wait or one last vinyasa, the last one of today's class. Lowering chaturanga. Inhale up. And exhale. Downward facing dog. Lowering all the way to seated and then laying all the way onto our backs. We're preparing for Jathara Parivartanasana. So it just means it's a twisting posture, but it's active, which is kind of cool. I don't do this one too often in class, so it's nice to throw this one in once in a while. And it's a mild twist. We'll lay all the way back. Arms can be in a T position, palms facing down, knees are bent. So this one's a core strengthener. So from here, what we'll do is gently, slowly, using the core strength, lower the knees to the right. Slowly, 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 slowly. Then, once they touch, we'll slowly, slowly bring them back to center. And then we'll head into the other side. Slowly, slowly, knees go to the left. If you want extra challenge, you can do this one with the legs straight. Slowly, slowly, they go back. I'm going to keep doing the bent knee variation, but feel free to straighten the legs at like a 90-degree angle and go over to the side. Slowly, slowly. And just notice how that changes things and makes it more fun. And then slowly, slowly, they come back. Last time, last side. Slowly, slowly, to the left. The whole while keeping those shoulders pinned to the floor. And slowly, slowly, those knees move back. Hugging them into your chest for Apanasana. And then preparing for Shavasana. Yay. A well-deserved one today, as always. So if your back needs a bit of extra support today, feel free to keep those knees bent with the feet on the floor. Otherwise, extending the legs on the floor and arms along your sides, palms facing up, and closing the eyes. Softening everything, everything, everything. Right from the crown of the head all the way to the tips of the toes. Softening through the face. Softening around the eyes. even the muscle between the eyes. Just letting it all go. And starting to come back. Wiggle the fingers and the toes and gently roll your head from side to side. And reaching your arms above head on the floor, give yourself a big stretch, feeling totally refreshed. And bending the knees. Gently roll over to the right side and give yourself a moment there as you come back. And slowly start to press yourself all the way up to a comfortable seated position, taking all the time you need. But when you arrive, palms facing up on the knees, inhale, sitting up tall, and exhale softly, close the eyes, taking those final moments to thank yourself for showing up to your practice today, for taking care of you. And one more silent thought for someone else today who might need just an extra little thought. And slowly open the eyes. Namaste, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Have a really good rest of your day.